different. Well, growing up, I didn't really think about becoming an actor, but there was one moment when I first saw Lord of the Rings. I think I was around 11 or 12. I was like blown away with the movie, and at the back of my head, I was like, oh, I think it would be really cool if one day like I'd be in a movie like that. But then it was just like a fantasy, and it wasn't until after post-secondary, because when I told my parents that I wanted to be an actor, they weren't very supportive at that time after high school. So I pursued something different. I actually I took up graphic design initially after high school, and then after graduating that, I still had that passion, and then so I eventually convinced them to allow me to take up acting afterwards. And yeah, like Lisa was saying, I don't regret it at all. This is like the best thing. And so that was like 2012, and so I've been doing it for quite a while now. But
Awesome.
I actually took a 3-year hiatus because like putting all the glamour and the success aside, it's very the process of auditioning and the rejections. As much as I want to be as positive, it actually got to me, like, mentally. So I feel like if you want to be an actor, you should also be like mentally prepared for all the rejections that you're gonna face, because yeah, I mean, it's not the best feeling. And then if you're getting say like being sent out to like 50 auditions and you're not getting any of those 50 auditions, it's really tough. So I took that 3-year hiatus. I pursued something completely different, just to refresh myself. And yeah, it's funny. Like, there was a moment where I didn't actually plan to come back to acting until earlier this year, when I was watching The Crown on Netflix. And I saw the acting. I was like, oh, this is brilliant. I feel like I have to come back to it.
That's great.
And like any other skill, I think the more you do it, the better you get. Because I remember when I first started the program, like, the biggest problem was I couldn't stop laughing every time, because you don't usually do this you don't say these things to your everyday life. So when I look at the fellow actors' eyes, and I have to say something like very intimate, I would just end up like laughing. It was very, very difficult for me to keep like a straight face until, say, like the near the end of the program. Yeah. And on top of that, I feel like that one of the reasons why I feel that actors are very compassionate human beings is because we put ourselves in other people's shoes. And Chilton Crane, who's the head of the acting department, she told me that to an actor, every life experience is a gift. And so I think that was very helpful, and you become very grateful towards life, because even when bad things happen to you, you appreciate more, because then to an actor, you'd be like, okay, I know how this feels now. So if ever a certain character goes through this kind of experience, then I would say, yeah, it becomes a little easier for you to tackle in, because you've experienced something similar. Speaking of assassin, I just recalled right now that I actually auditioned for a couple of assassin roles for Arrow, which I didn't get, unfortunately. But yeah, so how to prepare for things like that? Basically, sometimes you can just accept the circumstances, just pretend that you're an assassin. What would you do or give yourself like a circumstance where you'd be an assassin in real life. And with audition, it's quite different from actually doing a scene, because when you're auditioning, you just have the camera, the casting director, and the reader, and then yourself, and then nothing else in the room. Sometimes you have a chair, so you have no props. And yeah, so basically sometimes you use your hands, or sometimes the script on your hand as like a knife or something. That scene specifically, the character that I was in the scene with had to go around me and put the knife on my neck, but then the reader was behind the camera. So you just have to be creative. So how are you gonna show that the character is suddenly behind you with a knife on your throat? So yeah, you just get creative. So
Imagination.
whatever comes to your mind, because really in acting there's no right or wrong. Another instructor just told us just try not to be boring.
like
What
that.
I really like about the instructors of the program is they're actually current actors. They're actually working actors in the industry,
Yeah.
so they always have very current and modern techniques, because they also grow. It's not like they were an actor like 50 years ago and they're teaching it to us whatever they've learned 50 years ago. They're actually current actors, so everything new that's happening in the industry, we get firsthand knowledge because of these instructors. And I like that we have so many different instructors that come in to teach us. Say like we have a scene study, but there's not only one instructor for scene study. We get like tons. So what I like about that is we get different perspectives. So say like one instructor tackles work through connecting through props, some through movement, like they were saying, some through voice, some through like sexuality.
Text.
It's very different.
Yeah.
So I really like how they have various different instructors coming to teach us, because then and it's also teaching us to work with different directors, because each director is going to be different from another. So yeah, it's very helpful. The teachers, they're sort of they screen the students individually, so they see how each student progresses along the program. So they won't say if they feel like this student is not ready for like an emotional scene, they won't give you an emotional scene at that time. So they probably give it to you like later on in the program. So yeah, they definitely assess you as you go. So that, which is why I feel like Jay was saying that he feels very safe, because the teachers wouldn't give you something that they know you're not capable of doing.
Okay.
Add some more on top of that. Because sometimes it has something to do with like culture background, and like your place in society. And so Chilton told us about this story about this young actor. I can't remember where he's from, but he actually did have to cry in the scene, and this is a professional film set, but they couldn't get him. And then so there's lots of reasons why this young man couldn't cry, because you say like in their cultural background, like crying maybe like a sign of weakness for men, or perhaps growing up as a teenager, it's always like a sign of weakness or emasculinity. And it's like the same for myself. So I found it very hard to be emotional. And so how Chilton went through with it is instead of creating, say, like situations to maybe develop that person's emotions to come up, she then decided to what how do you say this, have the actor focus on the physicalities instead. So she's like, okay, so what happens to you when you're crying? So it's become the breathing aspect. So your breathing increases when you're about to cry, and with that actually led up to the actor crying. So there's tons of different ways to tackle the process, and also there's also lots of various different reasons on why some emotions are harder for actors to channel.
Yeah.
And they're very they're like family. They actually listen to you, your instructors. So if you're uncomfortable in anything, you can talk to them about it. For some students, like kissing is not okay for them, and or sex scenes because of like religious backgrounds, religious views. You can talk to them about it, and then yeah, they're not gonna force you to do something that you don't want to do ever. That's what I like about VanArts, is because aside from the acting program, they offer other classes like 3D animation, 2D,
there are other things going on,
visual effects. And then like they were saying, like you get to build a community, and it's not only for you, with your fellow actors. You build a community and network with other artists, and so we got to work with students from the visual effects department, the animators, and the voiceover work. And even when I graduated, a couple years after I graduated, Calvin, who's a graduate of the VanArts visual effects program, did a film, an independent film called Galactic Battles, which is really cool because it's a mashup of 3 universes, or was it 4? It's a Star Trek, Star Wars, Halo, and Mass Effect. It's a crossover of these 4 universes, and I auditioned for it, and luckily it was Calvin because the production, they knew me from VanArts, and I would like to think that that was one of the reasons why I got cast for that role, because of the connections.
Yeah. Well, you hire your friends, you hire people you trust and that and that
you've already worked with them in the past.
Yeah.
I would love to well, like I was saying earlier, like I would definitely want to be in the Lord of the Rings universe. That would be the dream.
Right.
And I would love to work with Guy Ritchie, Christopher Nolan. I've always wanted to be like in films where there's an ensemble. It's not like just like
a fellowship.
A fellowship like X-Men or like Harry Potter. I always imagine myself being in a team, as opposed to like being like a one-man show.
Wow.
And Amazon's doing like another Lord of the Rings.
I was going to say
exactly.
Amazon.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah.
Maybe you should, maybe be a little bit more, push a little bit more, and just say maybe there's an opportunity to be there too.
And I really like how the industry is progressing, and it's becoming more diverse every year. And especially with Crazy Rich Asians, I believe that it's opened a huge step. It's opened lots of doors for us, especially with Henry Golding after Crazy Rich Asians. He's worked with Guy Ritchie, and he's worked with Emilia Clarke. He's opened so many doors for us.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
You get to be an elf. That's where the action's at.
There you go.